Welcome to the AI Chat podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Today on the podcast, we have the pleasure of being joined by Alexandra Matthews, who is a business development manager and underwriter of AI performance insurance at Munich Re. She spearheads the development of insurance for liabilities arising from discrimination and bias in AI used in high-stakes decision-making applications. Such a fascinating area. Super excited to have you on, and welcome to the show today, Alexandra.
Thanks so much, Jen. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today.
For the listener, super excited first off to have you on, but for the listener, can you give us a little bit of, your background, your journey? Can you tell us a little bit about what got you into the field of AI, how you ended up focusing on, insuring AI risks, and tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I kind of fell into it by accident, really. So I started, I went to law school in Australia, which is where I'm from, graduated, and then about a week later, moved to Germany. And so I found Munich Re, the company where I'm at, kind of by accident. I just sort of was looking around for jobs because I couldn't be a lawyer. So when I started in Munich Re, I was in the kind of traditional insurance underwriting side. But I was asked to work on a joint article with the AI team about liability, and I loved it so much, I thought I got to transfer into this team. So
have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today.
A Netflix original film.
The Wi-Fi isn't working.
In the event of a global communications breakdown, do the following. Stay inside.
What just happened here is happening everywhere.
Avoid strangers.
We've all been deserted.
I don't trust them.
And most importantly, do not panic. Julia Roberts.
What happens next?
Mahershala Ali.
I knew something was coming.
Leave the World Behind. Rated R. Now playing only on Netflix.
a very untraditional journey to kind of, most people's career paths, but it was great. And the team, I guess more broadly, kind of also fell into it by accident. So the kind of origins of the team was that there was a department at Munich Re who was approached by an AI company looking for some sort of insurance for their AI. And we didn't have this kind of product at the time. But we thought this is a great idea. Maybe we should actually figure out if we can underwrite this. So we did it kind of custom made for one company. And then we thought this is actually a great product and we should offer it to more companies. So I guess everyone ended up in the right place.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. It's honestly not a product I ever thought of, but once I hear about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course this has to exist. So I think that's so fascinating. Also, I just, out of curiosity, so going from Australia to Germany, did you speak German or have you learned that? How's that experience been for you?
No, I didn't speak a single word. I was studying in Italy, met a nice German boy. The rest is history. So my German's fine now. But when I moved there, I could not speak a single word, and that was a real baptism by fire.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I lived in France for 2 years and did not speak French before, and it was
It's humbling, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so humbling. You don't feel like the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about Munich Re. Such a fascinating concept. How do you really approach kind of some of the unique challenges of insuring AI systems, right? These things they're changing all the time. They're so dynamic. Talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges you have in that whole, concept of insuring those.
I'll start off with kind of an explanation just briefly of what we do. So basically, AI providers that offer some sort of AI-based solution, they're trying to sell it to the market, can essentially get insurance for the performance of their AI system. Basically, then they could kind of add that into their SLA or whatever sort of sales contract they have and basically guarantee some sort of performance of their AI.
What's SLA?
Like what is it? A service level agreement or some sort of any sort of sales contract that you might have as an AI provider with your customers. And yeah, basically they can say, all right, we have this level of performance. We meet these sort of KPIs or metrics. And if we don't, and you suffer a loss because of that, we'll cover the cost. And then that cost is ultimately indemnified by Munich Re. So then that's kind of what the aim is. And then we figuring out how on earth do we actually measure that is performance. Yeah, because what insurers typically need is when they're underwriting sort of a fire policy or something like that, or a motor policy for anyone that's had car insurance, is you generally have decades of data on car accidents all over the world and fires all throughout history. And there's we don't have that volume of data, but also the other tricky thing is that, I don't know, a fire is a fire kind of wherever it happens, right? There's not so much variation in kind of what it looks like and what damage it causes. And I think somewhat similar for like a motor policy. Yeah. But with AI, every single application is so different. And even just saying, oh, yeah, we have a decision tree model, that's our AI, or we have a large language model, that's our AI. Those two things are then so different that we need to basically, start from scratch in terms of underwriting.
Is it a case-by-case basis on every one you do?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, we try obviously for like efficiency to basically, kind of snowball the information that we get for each case. Yeah. Basically, what we can do is just meet with the tech team who's developing this AI and try and get some performance data from them. So how they've performed historically when they are training their model, when they're testing their model, when they're deploying it to clients, all those types of things. We can take that data and try and sort of use it to inform us on what's the likelihood that this AI model will one day not work or will not perform. But it's really something that is definitely still kind of an art at this stage. We've got a lot of data scientists working on it, so I'm not going to say it's an art, not a science, because there's a lot of science behind it, but it's hard to put down.
Yeah, that's so fascinating, right? Because you obviously have to determine like what you can cover. You have to determine what like the negative impact could be, like the monetary like damages that could be done, and I'm sure that's just crazy, especially when you're looking at something like I don't know, like bias in the model. Like, do you cover like insurance on bias in models if that had some sort of negative like reputational impact to a company, or is it more like if the model breaks and doesn't serve its business function correctly?
So we would also look at bias and basically moving from pure performance to, I guess, broader liabilities that AI can cause.
Yeah. Right.
And obviously bias is one of those I guess, kind of impacts that the AI has, and maybe discrimination is a type of harm that can occur from some sort of bias. And this is also something that we could cover. And this is also very difficult to measure because you can start off and you can say we could attach some sort of quantifiable measurement to fairness. If you take an example, let's say a healthcare company uses AI to basically triage patients on how long they need to be in the waiting room until they see a doctor. And they can do that based on arrival time or based on age or based on who has the most severe symptoms. And each of those things could be fair, but they can't all coexist, right? You cannot have everybody waiting an hour to see a doctor, but also everybody getting in based on how urgent it is. So what the idea is for discrimination is that you can kind of attach some sort of quantifiable performance metric once you've chosen what idea of fairness is important to you as an AI provider. And that's somewhat easier to predict. But when you think about the real world implications of discrimination, there's a whole bunch of things that is really difficult to capture. If you are discriminated against, and I mean, this is really an extreme example, but if you are discriminated against and then you are feeling so horrible that you can't go to work or you have some sort of reputational fallout from this, measuring really those losses, they're not attached specifically to the model. So trying to figure out how you, like, where to draw the line in the sand and how to actually capture really the essence of this, which is protecting people from harms, is how to limit but also find those harms.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That sounds like such a challenge. That's so fascinating. You guys are working on that. What are some of the most common risks associated with AI that businesses should be aware of, and like, maybe ones that people aren't thinking about today?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, and I don't want this to turn into like a doomsday prep, but kind of break it down into sort of, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different AIs, right? So if we break it down into kind of some of the main ones, you have like machine learning models that are classifying like inputs, data inputs. This might be kind of your more standard ones, like if you're using AI on a conveyor belt in a factory and it's picking out defective parts or Kit Kats that aren't good enough, that kind of thing. One of the main risks there is data drift. I mean, no matter the best AI, no matter how well it's trained, will always make mistakes. And that isn't as bad as it sounds. We actually kind of want the machine to make some mistakes so that it fits generally to new situations going forward. But it's important then for these developers to keep training the model to kind of avoid this concept that over time your data changes but your model doesn't. If we look then at LLM, so large language models like ChatGPT, things like that, I mean, now as they're starting to be used in business context, there's a risk of what's called hallucinations, which is where large language models provide information that sounds real but is actually either completely nonsensical or fake. And I mean, this is kind of caused by some limited understanding of context of the model. It's basically trying to go from a prompt and then train this into sort of an abstract concept. So that's kind of how it happens. And it's not all bad. I mean, it's kind of it comes up with good diverse ideas. I mean, this is kind of what you want if you're trying to generate something new, is for the model to basically come up with something that's not been thought of before. But it can also be bad if you're using that to inform you about case law or something like that, and you type in, you're looking for a factual answer, and it comes up with something that just is completely a lie, but sounds really legit. And then I just think ultimately, to manage that risk, you should just fact check. I mean, it's hopefully not such a huge kind of risk. And then I think the last kind of type of AI that we could talk about is sort of this discrimination and these sorts of ethical concerns. I mean, beyond when we think about, I guess, the more broad business applications in terms of privacy and security and things like deepfakes, I think this is obviously a huge risk that people should be mindful of. And in sort of counteracting these concerns about privacy, sometimes then there's sort of competing questions about whether data that you're using is could have a bias in it or lead to some sort of discrimination. And I mean, ultimately, these biases can occur in any type of AI. The algorithm just learns to preference some features over another, and it doesn't have that ability to really get to the core of whether that's a nice or an unkind preference. So ultimately, what's essential here is just be critical about how the model is trained and make sure that you have the right people in the room when the model's being trained. I mean, you need that sort of diversity in labeling the data and training the data when you're doing it, to make sure that those biases don't get kind of fed into the model.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. That's the sound of switching your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling. Harness the best converting checkout and same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Stop leaving sales on the table. Discover why millions trust Shopify to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech23.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was talking to someone from OpenAI yesterday on a podcast, the head of developer relations, and talking about like the bias in the model. It's just like incredibly hard to get rid of it because essentially the training data, like it's generated by the internet, it's generated by everyone in the world, and everyone in the world has biases. And like,
Totally.
While you would like to have a perfect, clean data set with no biases, like if the data set's created by humans, it's just going to have them. And so it's kind of interesting because, yeah, their approach is like they aren't going to, like, they can't cherry pick the entire data set. They're pulling in so much data that they have to kind of come up with tools after the fact. So it's really interesting to see where this all plays out and how it goes. But yeah, 100%, you're right. Like it's something that people need to be aware of, and it's probably a risk. I'm wondering if you could share maybe like an example of a particular challenging AI-related insurance case that Munich Re has kind of like handled.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the interesting ones that we get as an insurer is kind of where it's difficult to assess the counterfactual of an AI's performance. So trying to figure out what would have happened if the AI had not been implemented, whether that loss would have still occurred, that type of thing. So this is usually a consideration for when AI is used in sort of demand forecasting or inventory optimization, those sorts of use cases where you don't have this binary alternative of, is this a cyber or ransomware attack or is it not? But where you have this kind of, the AI might promise that it can predict an optimal level of inventory to hold. And then it's hard to say if in the real world you then have some sort of lack of inventory, if you still would have had that, whether the AI had made that prediction or not. So I think those ones tend to be the trickiest for us because it's very difficult to then kind of carve out what the AI's decision-making power truly was, and then therefore kind of how whether it's underperformed or made a mistake. But as I kind of said earlier, I think for us, the first step in managing these really tricky use cases is, as close as we can, try and link the outcome or the goal of the AI to some sort of quantifiable measure. So if you're forecasting demand or trying to optimize customer engagement, linking that to some sort of numbers that you can then measure, I guess, did that occur or not?
Okay. So like, I'm trying to wrap my brain around this, but like, let's say a big shipping company, they got an AI and it manages like how much inventory they ship from one place to another and need to bring into the warehouse. They create their AI model, they get an insurance, underwritten by Munich Re, and then something goes wrong with the model. Maybe there's model drift or something, right? Something goes wrong with the model, doesn't do the inventory correctly. They don't have enough inventory. They lose like, $20 million. Do they write a claim to you saying, hey, we have like a $20 million loss because our AI model messed up, whatever? Like, how do you look at that whole case ahead of time? Do you do you vet models, or do you just be like, well, here's the risk and the likelihood, so here's their payment they'll have to make on it? Like, do you vet the model ahead of time? If the model, like, let's say they just trained it bad, or they just they messed up on the model, are they still gonna come to you with some sort of damages?
Yeah, we do vet the model.
Okay.
I mean, we don't run at it and try and beat it. We don't pen test it. It's not that kind of vetting, but what we basically do is just, we need to see the data input. So generally then the person getting the insurance just telling us where they get their data from, the data source, maybe how they train the model, and then kind of the output. So this performance data on how they've done on previous, shipping runs, that kind of thing. That's all we need to see. We don't need the code. We don't need the algorithm, watching it kind of happen. And then in terms of how we kind of manage the scenario as a whole, usually what happens is the AI provider will basically, when they're entering into a sales contract with their user, who's probably the shipping company, let's say, we also would provide first-party coverage if the shipping company develops their own AI in-house, but typically we've seen these sorts of really big established industries so far have been buying third-party AI. Okay. I'm sure this will shift slightly in the future, but at the moment, that's what we've seen. And so the idea is that the AI provider can guarantee to their shipping company, if you use our AI, and we promise you will not have any greater than a 10% deviation in your inventory from what we told you to hold versus what you ended up actually holding, excluding natural catastrophes, supply chain kind of things out of the control of the AI model. If you have this deviation, because we've made a wrong prediction, you can get those losses paid out. And so then the shipping company would go to the AI provider and say, I've suffered this huge loss. Your AI messed up. I want either my money back or I want my losses covered or whatever it might be that's in the contract. The AI provider would come to Munich Re, to our team, and say, I have to make a payout now to my client who's unhappy because of my AI. Can you please give me this money? And then they can pay them out.
Okay, gotcha. So do you insure the shipping provider and the AI company, or is it typically more you're insuring the AI company so that when one of their clients has an issue, you pay out to the client?
Generally, we would, the insurance would attach to whoever is developing the AI. So whoever has control over the AI's ongoing performance would be the insurance policyholder. I don't really think I don't think we would insure the shipping company and the AI provider for the same risk. Right. But we could basically go to the shipping company could say to us, we don't have this kind of insurance. How would I get it? And we can say, loop in your AI provider. The three of us can have a chat and figure out how to get an insurance. We can do it like that.
Okay. How do you see the role of AI in kind of transforming the traditional insurance industry, especially in risk assessment?
Well, I think AI is transforming pretty much anything else. So it would be kind of remiss of me to think that it would not change the insurance industry. I think a lot of simple procedures will become much better. I think there's quite an art to underwriting and to meeting with your clients, and it's a very people-focused industry at the moment, very relationship-based. So I can't really see a lot of replacement of those sorts of skills yet, but I think the simple processes, detecting fraud in claims, that kind of thing, that I think will be the first to kind of shift over. In terms of risk assessment, we haven't used AI in our risk assessment yet, but I think we would welcome it. It's basically automating some parts of that sort of due diligence chain, maybe developing a machine learning based tool that can assess a whole bunch of different AI features, because basically we also get a lot of data about the AI performance. So even to have some sort of tool that could summarize that, or that could basically pick out or weight the most important features, I think we would welcome that sort of use case. But ultimately then the kind of whole package, I think will also still have some people involved.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Because especially it's something that's high stakes like this, you have to, if nothing else, someone has to be able to follow down the chain of decision making to decide, figure out exactly why the AI made the decisions. But to listeners that are, founders or in the tech space and at companies, this might be an interesting area to developing software and to look at. So, so fascinating. For the listener that doesn't know, I will say that, Munich Re has been around since, I think, 1880, and they have covered a huge range of extraordinary risks. I'm wondering, how does insuring AI companies compare to other risks like rocket launches or like pandemics? You guys do all sorts of things, right?
Yeah, I think if there's a risk out there, Munich Re is on it. But I think really at the core these risks are kind of the same. You know, I personally, I think insurance has kind of always been the cornerstone for innovation and doing kind of these new things in society. And many of these significant developments, like first space launch or first, well, I guess not the first pandemic, but probably, I mean, at least the first in my lifetime, is these sorts of kind of one-off events or the first of their kind have been protected by insurance for a long time, which I think it really enables these sorts of leaps to be made, especially when you think about it's fine when, or it's easy to manage when companies with large balance sheets undertake risks, but a lot of the risks that we might see, or a lot of the kind of exciting developments that we might see, come from smaller companies that might not have a balance sheet to withstand a whole bunch of unplanned or unknown risks. So I think it is really valuable that insurance is an option for new kinds of risks. And I think insuring AI is kind of a natural progression of that. And I think really you could look at the risk kind of the same. You might not have a lot of data on these events, and that's really what we're seeing at the moment with AI. Is we're slowly getting the pieces together, the puzzle together of what AI actually looks like.
Yeah, and I feel like obviously so new, evolving and changing so rapidly. It's got to be a crazy space to kind of be looking at. I mean, I remember when COVID happened, I was working at a company, and we had this big, it's a supply chain company, and we had this big supply chain event. And we planned every year, of course. You know, they spend like $1 million on the venue and all this stuff. And it just so happened is right before COVID. It just so happened that like they were getting everything done, and they got like the insurance on it, and they're like, hey, do you want like an optional like pandemic prevention insurance? It's $27. It was something just like ridiculously cheap, and they're like, yeah, whatever, just like throw it onto the insurance package or policy or whatever. Of course, COVID happens. We had to cancel the entire event. $1 million of non-refundable, and the whole thing was like, luckily, yeah, it's probably the best $27 ever spent by the company because it was paid for by the insurance. So of course, like that's like an extreme example, but I'm seeing a lot of parallels, I feel like, to AI in a sense that it's not a pandemic, so I guess that's not a very good comparison, but it's a brand new thing that was not very common or expected by a lot of companies. Feels like it's coming out of left field. I know AI has been around for a long time, so it's definitely, you know, being a little dramatic to say it just came out of nowhere. But obviously every company is looking at how to implement AI right now in a much more advanced approach than ever before. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of these surprises. There's going to be a lot of these risks that people aren't prepared for, and you know, partnering with a company like Munich Re to make sure you're insured against those risks, I think is really, really critical right now, especially with such a new industry. So I'm sure that's, you know, super crazy and exciting for everyone on your end. And I'm wondering, based off of your experience, where do you see the field of AI heading over the next 2 to, let's say, 5 years? I would just love to get some like predictions from kind of what you're seeing.
Well, I think this kind of goes back to what you were talking about with saying like, oh, AI has burst onto the scene, and then saying, okay, it hasn't really. But I feel like in a way it kind of has, because I think it was very much like a tech issue 20 years ago that you'd have kind of maybe a small subset of people with the specific knowledge and the specific experience, maybe some people in your team who had worked on AI. And I think now its touch points are so much more individual. I think AI is really a business issue now, not a tech issue. And so I think now that your average person has been on the receiving end of some sort of AI operation probably this year, and I think that as you start to delegate more decisions to the AI, whether that is helping you write your essay or whether it's helping you perform critical business functions, I think really there are more people involved now. And I think we need to really protect these people against decisions that could cause them some sort of harm. And so I think moving from AI as a discussion around sort of performance and how good it is in its own function, and kind of moving to a broader consideration of what are the ethics around this, and what are the harms that it could cause people, not just kind of businesses in terms of revenue. but people who are being maybe discriminated against or suffering because of this. I think those really tangible human-based touch points with AI would be my prediction for kind of the next big discussion. At least I hope it is. I think it's a very important discussion to have kind of in parallel with how good is this model that we're using.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I mean, this is going to be fascinating to see how this continues to change, especially in the insurance space. Alexandra, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. This has been amazing to hear your insights. To the listener, if people want to learn more about Munich Re, where's the best place for them to do that?
And so you can find us through our website. So this munichre.com/insureai. Otherwise, you're welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I'm not sure if you can post something in the show notes or whatever, but we'd absolutely welcome to hear from anyone who's got a comment or a question or just wants to know more and know what they should do with their business to manage these risks. Happy to chat.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, to the listener, I will drop links in the show notes to the website and to Alexandra so you can find her on LinkedIn. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for tuning in to the AI Chat podcast. Make sure to rate us wherever you get your podcasts and have a fantastic rest of your day.